The meeting of the Board of Education will resume in 4 minutes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which.
Oh, that was such great practice. Okay, we're going to try one more time. Our board president is still coming in, but we are so excited that you're excited about the pledge. All right, give us just 2 seconds, and they are just getting ready to gavel on in. And good evening, everyone. Our Topeka High senior is ready, so I'm going to turn it over first to the board president, who's going to restart the meeting, and then he'll go right on into the pledge.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Next on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I think we have somebody from the Topeka High, the undefeated state champion Topeka High women's softball team that's going to lead us in that. So,
All right.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, Miss Joyce, you go right on ahead.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. And there may be a question or two from Dr. Morrison. We normally have elementary students, but we had to have the privilege of meeting one of our champs, Dr. Morrison or Dr. Mickelson. You have a question for our senior.
White guys all look alike, you know.
Miss Joyce, your certificate is on the screen right now. So we're going to pull that back on up. And that certificate, we normally would be delivering it to your school, but we're going to mail that to your home. And of course, that certificate says Topeka Public Schools recognizes Alicia Joyce for your service at the June 17th, 2021 board meeting. With that, I'm going to turn it back on over to our board president.
So we didn't hear anything about you other than the start of the Pledge of Allegiance. So are you a member of the softball team? Miss Joyce, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, it wasn't allowing me to mute. Yes, I'm a part of the softball team.
Congratulations on your success this season. What position do you play?
I played first base.
Okay. Well, we usually, as Dr. Anderson indicated, we usually have a first or second kindergarten or age student to lead us in the pledge, but it's nice to have you do that for us. Thank you so much. I think we're going to be honoring under our school highlights section, you and your teammates in just a moment. So we'll take great pleasure in doing that in just a few seconds. So thank you so much for leading us in the pledge tonight.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to do that.
Mr. President, I move the board approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Reverend Williams. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Dr. Bowenbrake offers a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? I don't see any, so we're ready to vote.
Vote is open. All votes are in and the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Before we get too far along in our meeting, we've suffered a loss in our district this past week. We had a 7th grader, Demaya Hudnall, 7th grader at Eisenhower, who passed suddenly. And so I just want to take a moment of silence in her memory and for her friends and her family, and just take a moment of silence now. Thank you. Next on the agenda, school highlights. So we get to celebrate victorious state champion.
Absolutely. And we're going to end up turning it over to our Topeka High staff. Now, I will tell you this, we had the pleasure of making kind of like baseball cards, but for our team, and I believe you may have them at your desk, and if not, we're getting those to you. And so for those baseball cards, and there's one picture of the group card, but each student has baseball cards created as well. So we've asked for those to be created for each of our board members. So you each have a pack of cards that aren't baseball, that are actually softball, but enjoy those. With that in mind, we have some individuals with us here, so we're going to ask them to take their stand at the podium, and they'll share all about their most recent champions, as well as this undefeated season, and in addition to who's with us this evening for the 6A state title game. We truly feel like we are in the presence of excellence from coaching to our students. So we're going to go ahead and turn it on over for you to begin with introductions and share a little bit about our team.
Okay, I'm Coach Miles, Shane Miles. I'm a sped teacher at Topeka High School. I coach women's basketball and also head softball coach. I think we have Alicia Joyce is on the Zoom. Zoe Kincaid. Zoe Kincaid is a senior this year. She played third base for us. And then Alicia Joyce is a first baseman this year. She is a junior. And then Zoe Carroll and Addison Carroll, we're going to try and make it on, but I have a lot of girls playing right now, playing summer ball. So they are playing tonight, actually. I have girls playing in Florida, girls playing in Alabama. They weren't able to join. But I just want to tell you guys, thank you for having me here. It's a blessing to be in 501 and coach in 501. Just a little bit about our season. We were 25-0, 6A state champions. We built this from the ground up. The coach before us left some pieces, but we had pieces to build with. My first year, 2019, we made our first state tournament appearance in 15 years. We were 16-3, lost in the first round of Derby. So the girls had a little motivation to get back into the state tournament and do some damage there. Unfortunately, 2020 COVID took our season away from us. We would have had the same team in 2020 as we had this season. So I would have liked to see what we could have done in 2020, but 2021 rolled around and we, the girls had a little grit, a little chip on their shoulder and want to get back to the state tournament. And not only just compete in the state tournament, but to win some games. Some highlights of the year, we beat Washburn Rural for the first time in a doubleheader this year. We actually beat them 5-0 and 10-0. We beat Seaman, who was ranked in 5A, Hayden, who was ranked in 4A. We went to Kansas City and played some Olathe schools that were also ranked and beat them. Then we moved on to our regional, which squared us up against Manhattan. And we had played Manhattan 2 times earlier in the season. And it was a good, hard-fought game. We won 3-1. We didn't play real well, but we needed games like that going into the state tournament. We matched up as #1 seed with Olathe East, beat them 5-0. It took us a little bit to get going. We moved on to play Gardner Edgerton in the semifinals. That was probably one of the best softball games I've ever seen. We won 1-0. It's 0-0 going into the bottom of the 6th inning. Our pitcher, Nija Kennedy, hit a solo home run, and then she closed the door. Probably the best softball game I've seen high school wise played. They were very good. They were very well coached. Our girls just at the right time had the right pieces. And then the state championship game, we played Olathe North. It was kind of fitting because we played at 11:00 a.m. on that Friday against Gardner Edgerton. We'd had a hard fought game. Olathe North had to play Lawrence Free State, which that game went 13 innings to play us. So I don't want to make any excuses, but maybe Olathe North might have been out of gas a little bit, but it was also 0-0 going into the 4th inning. And then our bats kind of came alive. We ended up winning the state title 7-1. Probably the greatest feeling I've had. I tell these girls, they play very, very competitive summer ball all summer. I mean, some of them play 100 to 120 games of high level competition, and win a state championship with your teammates and the people you go to school with was just, it's an unreal feeling. It's something that you'll remember for the rest of your life. So as a coach, I give it all the credit to these girls. They put in the work in the off season. They put in the work in the weight training, after school conditioning and practice. I'm a guy that doesn't like to practice long. So an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, we are out. So it was a great feeling. We are in the process right now of getting donations for rings for the girls, because I think that's something that they can take back and have 20 years, 30 years down the road. So thank you for letting me be here. I left a softball on each of your guys' desk. It does say 2021 state champions. It's just got a little memento for you guys to remember. Unfortunately, I would have liked to have the girls sign it, but that's about the best I could do with being on vacation last week, and gathering all those girls together is something.
But did you sign it?
I didn't, but I
Oh,
can.
all right. Well, we'll have to make sure to get your signature, because no great team happens to be great alone. You mentioned earlier they had great coaching. Well, we know they had great coaching because they're 1 undefeated and 2 that you've been with them growing this program. So Coach, we have for you, Topeka Public School District recognizes Topeka High School girls softball team on their 6A state championship title and undefeated. You probably want your picture without your mask. On their 6A state title, state championship title and undefeated 2021 season. Sir, it is a privilege to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So welcome.
While they get their picture taken, are there any questions for Coach Miles?
Okay.
Questions for you.
I will-
So board members are going to
Okay.
ask you questions and some students questions.
Okay.
And we also have Alicia and Zoe on the line. So if you have student questions for the students, go ahead, Reverend Williams.
First of all, Coach, congratulations on a perfect season. And I didn't realize you guys had won the state championship against Olathe North. That's my family school in Johnson County. And we have a family get together 4th of July. It gives me bragging rights.
There you go.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Bully?
It's not a question. I just want to thank you for putting in your time to help coach our young team and developing them to a point where there are state champions. I mean, there's only one state champion out of all the teams in the state of Kansas, and you guys did that. I also wanted to point out, I was telling some people earlier when I got here, when I was in school, this was impossible.
Mhm.
Title IX made this possible. And I hope we always protect Title IX because girls are champions too.
Right.
And I thank you for believing in them. And I hope everyone will continue to support Title IX because this is what happens when we build strong programs for our young ladies. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, my question has to do, given the type of academic school year that we had, how'd you keep your team focused? And that could be either for yourself, coach, or for our players.
We let the players kind of chime on in there. So Zoe and Alicia, and I'm holding up your little cards on the screen for those that haven't gotten these. And if you like a card and autograph, just let us know. We have extra here at Central Office. Can you share how you stay motivated? And then we'll turn it over to our coach.
Okay. So that was one more thing I was going to say. So we ended with the school year with a 3.56 GPA as a team GPA. These girls, I mean, we didn't have to babysit them. And that was the nice part. They got their stuff done. Yeah, we did have some punishment for a tardy or two or absence, but during the season, it was phenomenal. I actually have Zoe Carroll, who is ranked 7th in her class. She was graduating senior. She's going on to play at University of Illinois. Also, Nija Kennedy, she is ranked 1st in her class. She's a junior. She's got multiple Division I offers right now. And then my other seniors, Zoe Kincaid has not signed anywhere yet, but she's looking to go the junior college route. Mia Kelly was my other senior. She was an all-stater She just recently signed at Highland Community College. And then Tatum Wilson was my other senior. She's going to Wichita State and is going to walk on softball. So we had, let's see, all league. We had all 9 of our girls that played, that started, received either first team, second team, or honorable mention all league. Also, we had newcomer of the year, Addison Carroll, in the league. And then all city, all of our 9 girls got recognition there. First team, second team, honorable mention. Also, Addison was newcomer of the year, and Nyjah Kennedy was city player of the year. And then all state, we had first teamers Zoe Carroll, Nyjah Kennedy, Mia Kelly, and Addison Carroll. Those were our 4 first team all state. And there was only 12 to get on the first team all state. So, 33% of our girls were on the first team all state team.
And congratulations,
Thank
Coach.
you.
We are so proud of you and your students.
You heard Zoe Carroll speak at graduation. She was the most outstanding student senior selected by the faculty. So she was one of the graduation speakers for Topeka High.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thanks. Any more questions?
All right, we have our next highlight. Thank you again,
Appreciate
Coach,
it.
and congratulations. All right, with that, and I believe, Coach, on those softballs, when the year gets started, you only had a handful of seniors that left. And so I think Dr. Gray got something for you to sign the balls with. But since you have a handful of seniors, when your students come back in August, which we trust will be a regular season for all of us, for those board members, we'll end up taking your softballs back on up to T-High. Let the students that are still there, which they're all coming back, but about 4 or 5 of them, and we'll let those students sign them at that time. Does that sound okay with your first practice? All right, thank you, Coach.
And I probably.
No, okay. Oh, that's perfect. So we'll hang on to these for now. We'll bring them back to you when school gets ready to start, okay?
We're planning on having a big ceremony during a football game.
All right, well, thank you so much again. Again, congratulations. All right, exciting stuff. And so now we have another student. If you were reading the paper last night, you noticed that we have a 3rd grader who is the fastest runner in the country. And we knew that you would want to meet this person before they started their summer. So we're going to ask for young Haley. Oh, there you are. You look so beautiful. We're so excited to have you. Okay, so young Haley is a rising 3rd grade student at Ross Elementary. Young Haley is highlighted for running the fastest 100-meter time in the country for her age group last weekend. And so first of all, we want to give you an applause, young Haley. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I did not want to mispronounce your first name properly. So can you share with us your first middle name, your first and middle name? And then I think your principal wants to share a couple of great things about you as well.
My name is Corvée, and my middle name is Nicole.
All right, Miss Corvée Nicole Haley, we're going to turn it over to your principal to share a couple of things, and then the board members have some questions for you.
Hi, Corvée. It's Mr. Schrader. Good evening, Dr. Anderson and members of the board. Ms. Bully, I love your comment. The girls are champions too, and it's really exciting that we get to recognize that at a very young age. Corvée is one of our Rossum scholars. She's getting ready to head into 3rd grade, and we couldn't be more proud and excited to honor her accomplishments this evening.
So at this time, we're going to turn it over to our board members to ask questions. So excited to meet you. And young Haley, Miss Haley, we would love to get your autograph. Can we arrange that maybe sometime next week to have you autograph the back of perhaps that news article? Oh, thank you. All right, we're going to turn it over to our board president.
Does anyone have any questions for Corvée? Dr. Bonebreak? I'm not sure if you can hear you without your microphone on.
Would you like to anchor the boys 4x100 in high school?
She can do the girls 4x100 in the high school.
She can probably do the boys too.
All right, I think another question is coming.
Corvée, what was your time?
Huh?
What was your time for the 100-meter dash?
14.4.
14.4. Do you know what the world record is? No. It's probably what, 10 or 11? You're close. For a 7-year-old, you're fast. Have you been running a long time? Have you? Do you have a coach? Are you on a track team? You're not a woman of words, I see.
So Corvée, we want to hear we want to hear your voice in this space. You are just so beautiful. So Corvée, oh my goodness, and you have a nice smile. So the next couple
Thank
we're
you.
going to ask you some questions. You welcome, beautiful. And so they're going to ask you some questions, and I want you to respond back in a sentence, okay? I want them to know how amazing and intellectual you are. Okay, we're going to turn it over to our next board member. Miss Bowley has a question for you.
So I do know that in our city school systems, we have running with girls. Our Girls on the Run, that's the name of it. Were you part of Girls on the Run at any?
Wait, what'd you say?
Girls on the Run, were you part of that club?
Yeah.
Who was your mentor runner?
What's that?
The adult that ran with you. You have an adult that you ran with in that club? Probably a lady.
Coach Riley.
Nice. Well, we're really excited about how fast you're running, and you know, you can get pretty famous in high school for running. So we're going to keep our eyes on you as you go through our school system, all right? We're excited about what you're going to do. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are you at a gym right now? Where are you at?
I'm at LEAP.
Okay, you're at the LEAP program, so we have to talk really loud because I know you have a lot of people behind you. I'm going to turn it back over to the school board member for their next question.
Oh, okay. Congratulations. That is so exciting. And I just pulled up this quote. I'm sure you've heard of Usain Bolt. Do you know who he is? No? Okay. Well, he is the world's fastest man. He's the world's fastest runner. And I have this quote because my son loves to run also. And here's what he said. He said, I trained 4 years to run 9 seconds. And people give up when they don't see results in 2 months. So my question for you is, did you ever feel like giving up? And if so, what made you not give up?
I never give up because track was my dreams, and my mom used to do track.
Oh, well, good for you. Don't ever give up. Oh yeah, and when you get into middle school and high school, you can do cross country and track, and in the summer at 6 a.m. join the cross country team and run every day. That's what my son's doing, and you can do that too. So proud of you. Congratulations.
Now, Miss Haley, we have a video clip of you as well from the news, if we can share that briefly. But Miss Haley, let me ask you this question. What do you want to be after you graduate from college?
I want to be a track star.
Oh, but of course, a track star. That's excellent.
Keep the head down.
I'm going to turn it over to the news clip.
Down, set.
You won't find 7-year-old Corvée Haley watching TV or playing video games.
Quick hands, quick hands, quick hands.
I don't do none of that stuff because I don't want to lose time of my practice and my track meet.
All her hard work led her to the start line of the 100-meter dash at an AAU Junior Olympic qualifier this weekend.
She got down, hit the start, came out perfect. Everything looked good.
There you go. It was hot and I was really sweating, but I tried my best to win like my mommy always says.
Not only did she win, she ran the fastest time in the country this season for age 8 and under.
We looked up there and seen, she's the fastest time in the nation at 14:41.
Corvée is a member of the Topeka Blazers, a club team formed 16 years ago with the goal of keeping kids on the right track in more ways than one.
Focus is the key. A lot of young people we deal with, a lot of them come from, the kind of areas that are kind of hard, a lot of distractions.
Riley has firsthand experience with that.
I went to Washburn, had a chance to play there. I turned it down for the streets, became a drug dealer, probably one of the top 5 that they wanted off the streets for a while, and just had a conversion, came to face with my spirituality. My relationship with Jesus Christ is the most important thing to me, and trying to help kids to, not take the same course or to go down the same path that I did.
Roughly 50 athletes make up his team.
Kids that can't make it to practice, he'll make sure they get there to the track meets. He does everything.
Each one of them given goals, structure, and teammates to lean on.
It gives them kind of some hope, and so we kind of use the sport to kind of give them something to aim for, to go after, and I think it's important to give them something to see other than what they deal with maybe 7 days a week when they're at home or on the blocks that they live on.
They're also given a coach who believes in them.
Go!
All the way through the finish line.
I believe that she can go all the way. She can end up in the Olympics one day. Quick hands, and stop. Good.
Hervé, is there any final comment that you would like to make? So exciting to be in front of a famous person this evening. Here's your certificate, Corvée Haley, for running the fastest time in the nation. Any final comments you'd like to make, Ms. Haley? Well, again, congratulations. I'll turn it back to our board president for the final comment.
You have to ask her open.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Where?
Congratulations. All right,
Thank you.
No, I don't know if you can do that.
welcome. You're welcome. We're so proud of you. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on back to our highlights. And I believe that is the last highlight this evening. I do want to make mention, however, previously we highlighted the 25-year staff members, and one of our staff members who received their plaque was not actually mentioned. I want to make sure to mention Shawnee Hayes. She had 25 years a year ago. And so she made sure that we knew that. And so we made sure somehow that plaque didn't get to her. We love her and we want to acknowledge her 25 years.
Absolutely.
I'm going to turn it back over to the board.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Next on the agenda is public comment. I see Mrs. Lister shaking her head no. So we will move on to entertain a motion to dispose of business by consent.
Mr. President, I move the board approve the items of business by consent as presented and authorize the board president or superintendent to sign the special project and purchasing contracts for and on behalf of the board.
Thank you, Reverend Williams. We have a motion. Does anyone offer a second? Dr. Bonebrake offers a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? I don't see any, so I think we're ready to vote.
The vote is open. All votes are in and the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mrs. Lister. Next on the agenda is superintendent's report. Dr. Anderson.
All right, this evening, as we begin our superintendent's report, we have two items that we'll be talking about this evening. We do want to give the board, we always give the board a COVID update. We do want to mention an update that there was a change this week and that Shawnee County did share most recently that the staff and students, when they are outdoors, do not have to wear masks. And so unless the board sees any concern with that, we are in the middle of our summer program. Before we made the change after that announcement yesterday, since we have a board meeting today, want to make sure that by consensus that the board is okay with us allowing in this 100-degree weather for students to proceed outside without masks, staff and students, in alignment with that new guidance from both CDC and Shawnee County. All right, looks like we have head nods on that. So we're going to proceed on. That really is the only COVID update other than our vaccination clinic was successful this past Saturday at Jardine Middle. All right, as we move right on into other matters, we're going to talk about our strategic plan and really look at dual language. So here's the thing with our strategic plan, and we're going to go ahead and pull it on up. Ms. Wallace is going to walk through some of the adjustments that we've made most recently, really focused on dual language because that committee continued to meet. Previously, pre-COVID, the strategic planning committee met. We agreed that the vision and mission and those things would remain intact. And at this time, many of the items related to academics really took a standstill for a moment. We really focused on COVID and maintaining. So we like to take this particular plan and rather than adding new goals. We'd like to focus on the goals that were in the plan 18 months ago and just stretch this plan date out through the next 2 years so that we have an opportunity to meet those academic goals previously listed. We would like to make some updates in a few areas, specifically dual language is one of them. And then we have a few other minor updates in some other areas as well that we'd like to also speak to. We'll start with our dual language. Mrs. Wallace?
Yes, thank you. Twice this spring, the Dual Language Strategic Planning Committee met and made some updates to the plan. A couple of board members sit on that committee as well. And so if you could scroll down a little bit, Mr. Gowan, I will share some of the changes. So the first is to align the dual language curriculum and assessment team with the current practices, implementing both vertically and horizontally, and planning professional development teams. We want to implement Spanish proficiency assessments with grade level criteria, including proficiency assessments at those transitional grades of 5 and 8 to continue in the dual language program. The third strategic action plan would be to include dual language in our 5-year professional development plan to train, and training would be supported by the middle school dual language principal, who is Gomez and Gomez trained, Ms. Eldape. To review and determine complementary, formative, summative, and state assessments in Spanish. We started these conversations prior to COVID and want to ensure that moving forward, we are assessing students in their first language. To require Spanish proficiency for administrators at dual language schools that evaluate Spanish speaking staff, including having administration with Spanish proficiency who supervise bilingual staff. To promote and recognize students who graduate with the seal of biliteracy with the goal of increasing annually 10%. To implement Gomez and Gomez best practices in all key components based on the grade level band to include bilingual pairs, the lesson plan cycle, content bulletin boards and word walls as developmentally appropriate. To create a hiring and retention plan for dual language, English and Spanish teachers, and bilingual paraprofessionals with a greater focus on retention and longevity of our bilingual staff. To establish a cultural innovation center with the goal of addressing marginalized populations that provide a variety of services with the goal of achieving equity for all groups. And then our last action step would be to expand, enhance, and evaluate the course offerings in dual language pathways to be in alignment with KSDE.
We'd like to stop and open this up for dialogue and any questions. Again, the committee members have been meeting and questioning, and we've had quite a bit of dialogue in that particular group. But are there any questions at this time regarding these items that we've listed? We do want to mention that this plan is ongoing. So you'll see 2023 and 2024 as goals, but the strategic plan goes through 2026. The expectation is that committees would continue to meet as we would with the strategic plan and make updates. So it's a living document. It's not a document that sits on a shelf. We come back and say, how do we do in this area? But that's any of our areas. So we would continue to add goals and increase dates as appropriate. But for now, 2023 and 2024 are the dates that you'll see in those sections. Any questions or comments?
Historically, we've had difficulty filling teaching positions. So I noticed that administrators are going to be dual language as well, or bilingual. Where are we with getting teachers and administrators who can do this?
I believe Mrs. Dr. New is on with us this evening for the equity report. And since she is the Director of Human Resources and that's her area, I'll first cede to her to address that question of where are we. We actually have had a very good experience in the last 2 years in terms of gaining teachers and actually administrators. Multiple administrators now, either assistant principals or principals, are actually bilingual. So we really have met much of that goal. And as people retire or transition, we now post for bilingual administrators, something we didn't used to do, which is attracting people who are bilingual administrators. Outside of that, Dr. New, the question is really for you, where are we with dual language or bilingual educators, and how has it been filling positions?
Well, we have continued our relationship with KSDE. Dr. Regina Pizzat is a wonderful resource for recruiting teachers from Spain. And then those teachers are pre-interviewed by them and referred to us. So we're experiencing good success in getting teachers here from Spain. We're also part of a Facebook group of Puerto Rican teachers who don't have to worry about some of the visa requirements that teachers from other countries do. And so we advertise on that Facebook site. Also, as Dr. Anderson said, we've had good success in receiving applications from administrators who are also native Spanish speakers. So I think as we move forward and continue to build these types of relationships, we'll have good success in finding candidates who are bilingual.
I understand there's also a problem with retention. Do we know why that is?
There are teachers who come from Spain who can only stay a certain number of years, and then they have to return to their home country. Because of COVID, we did experience many who wanted to go back home to be with their families, and that, at least in the recent years, seems to be a reason why we lost quite a few after the 2019-2020 school year. But we had some who stayed, and we have one who will be joining us very soon at Topeka High to teach the Heritage Spanish class. And so we're very happy to have someone who's coming from Spain to teach that class there.
Now, for the Puerto Rico recruitment, you may recall about 4 years ago, or it might be 5 years now, when Dr. Gomez, my first year, I invited Dr. Gomez here to really speak to the board and just have some conversation about strategies at work. And he mentioned, well, recruit from Puerto Rico, and you won't have the issue of Spain staff, having to return, or staff that come from Spain. So we then sponsored our first trip to Puerto Rico with students and staff, and we had a hiring fair there. And so we're continuing that kind of relationship as well, and making sure, and I would love to see us have another trip and have students go with staff, but also recruit while we're there. So we're looking forward to continuing that in just a hands-on way beyond the Zoom piece. My apologies. I think you put your hand up right when I was about to say that.
Yeah, as much, we love our teachers from Spain, but they do have that 3-year visa restriction, unfortunately. And many just stay for a year or two, even because Spain's nice and they want to go back. So I think it's great, our efforts to recruit from Puerto Rico. What I think would be even greater, and I'd like to hear somebody speak to this, of what are we doing to encourage our local people, our people in Topeka? For example, there's a wonderful woman at Scott, and she was the parent liaison, and she just got her teaching. She's from El Salvador originally, and she just got her teaching certificate through, I think, Fort Hays. And so she's going to be a teacher now at Scott, and she's one of many bilingual paras we have who I know would like to be certified staff, like to be teachers. So are we doing anything to encourage them, any kind of incentive, help, tuition assistance, something to help our local people who won't be leaving us?
Well, Miss Dr. New, do you want to go ahead and answer that? And you just gave a perfect example of how that is working in some spaces. Dr. New, do you want to talk about that a little bit, about options?
I was just going to highlight, we are so happy to have Miss Johanna Moreno joining our professional staff. And we have other paras who are participating in the Washburn Para to Professional program. But then in addition to that, a couple of years ago, Dr. Anderson started the practice of us giving our high school graduates that early letter of intent. And so we have some of our Hispanic students who graduated from high schools a couple of years ago. They are participating in that. Hopefully they'll be coming on through Washburn University. They stay in contact with me. They attend when we had the in-person job fair there, they came to that. So I think our students are really buying into the opportunity that they have a future professionally with Topeka Public Schools, and many, well, the ones who are participating are excited about being able to come and give back and serve the school system that helped them.
Thank you. A follow up though. So like this Washburn program, or the program that the individual who we were both talking about, Ms. Barreno, are they paying tuition on their own? Are we helping them? If so, you could just speak to that a bit.
Certainly. We do not anymore have the Grow Our Own program that provided funds to help support our staff, but they are paying on their own. But I think because of the investment that the district is placing in them early, and they know that there is going to be a positive end to their work, it's worth it to them to make whatever sacrifices are necessary to get that college education.
I'll ask Mr. Robbins to speak to that. That Grow Your Own program was in place prior to me, or concluded prior to me coming. It's funny that you mentioned that. We were just talking about that at the CREJ, the Commission for Racial Equity and Justice. And it actually is one of the things that we're looking at as a recommendation. In fact, it is in our draft report in June for those that listen in on that, that the Grow Your Own program statewide really is something that we believe in that particular group, and I believe here in this space, should be supported statewide. And that Grow Your Own program and funded accordingly. It's a huge economic boost, I think, to our community, and that program is no longer open. What I did ask the board last year, and the board did approve, that in some cases that we have where the budget is available, ability to assist with some tuition opportunities for some groups. So the para advisory that I have and I both kind of talked about that as some option. Now that may be minimal what we can do year to year for various staff, but the board did approve for that to occur. So we have some ability now based on that last approval to help in some ways. Mr. Robbins, in terms of the Grow Your Own program and budgetary pieces as it relates to assisting, anything else you want to add, sir, since that's a finance question?
No, it is something, Dr. Anderson, that, we do have limited ability to participate in if the decision is made that we want to go down a course like that. Prior to when we started to throttle back, we had some success and some, you might say, failures with that program. We have some that have successfully completed it, some that we made investments that just did not come to fruition as far as people finishing a program that they started. But, we do have a limited ability to support some participants, just not to the extent that we did at one point in time.
Here's the last item that we now do that we didn't used to do. I'm excited about it. Mrs. Wallace just sent me a little text message to remind me. Thank you, Ms. Wallace. About student teachers, and that previously, when you student teach, all of us who student taught, we couldn't work while we were student teaching. That's also in the CREJ report, that we should be allowed to pay student teachers to work while they're student teaching, which is work. And so at this time, we are allowing our paras who are student teaching to continue to work and to get paid while student teaching. So that's also bridging that gap for that para that has to pay for education and also wants to move into teaching. Those are just a few of the things we've been able to do, and I'm excited about the possibility that this is going to be replicated, potentially, pending approval of that report, potentially statewide through the CREJ. So those are at least some items that we're doing now.
Could you update us on the status of enrollment at our dual language schools? Are we still, do we have a wait list, or are class sizes adequate, or are they still looking for students, or where are we on that?
And I'm not sure that Ms. Sharp is on this particular call. Let me ask. And I know that Dr. Mejia is out of the country. And so I'll just speak in generality unless look at Ms. Sharp. I have an awesome team, you all. Ms. Sharp just popped up on the screen just like that. And so with that, Ms. Sharp, I'll turn it over to you. First of all, middle and high, those enrollments remain stable and continue to grow. Elementary, Ms. Sharp will talk a little bit about.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Yes, I have recently reviewed the enrollment numbers with Dr. Mejia before she left out of town, but she was able to accommodate the kindergarten students who had filled out the dual language application. So we are good to go for kindergarten, and the other grades are enrolling, and we're expecting those to hit the projections that Dr. Kipp has given us.
Are there any, Mrs. Boley?
I was wondering if you could give me your visualization or your dream about the Cultural Innovation Center and what that is going to look like, and what it will support. And also just kind of a second thought of maybe recruiting people from that as well as they come to us speaking their native language already, of maybe assisting them in that education piece.
Well, Dr. Mejia, and she spoke about this a little bit at our last committee. So, this idea that we do have other students who speak other languages as well. We have a migrant program as well. We have very few, but we do have some refugees. And so making sure that we have really, we're thinking in an innovative way about global leadership and cultural innovation and how we're supporting students. And then not having these programs siloed, making sure that they're all connected in ways that make sense. Dr. Mejia, who has her doctorate degree and is very interested in advocating for the marginalized, we really looked at programs around the country that have such centers that really provide resources to families and students and family programs in ways that are seamless and just really aligned with what the school district is doing, and even beyond that. And so what I anticipate is that right now we have our migrant program, and right now we have our ESL program. We're really looking at not having these programmatic kinds of things and really having a division led by a leader that can ensure that services are provided in quick order, no matter what language you speak. Of course, our majority language is Spanish, but beyond that, making sure that resources are directly given to those individuals. That's what we envision in time to come. And Dr. Mejia is helping roll out that vision in creative ways, and she's been doing quite a bit of research on that in the last 3 months leading up to this summer. So we're excited about giving you an update, which we anticipate giving in November, about what this now looks like, so that for next year possibly could open in terms of having that leader in place that really ties all these pieces together. So we look forward with Dr. Mejia giving you some updates about that specifically.
I have a few comments. All right. So I was very happy to find out today. I had a great phone conversation with Ms. Wallace, who informed me, and I want to share with everybody else, that the dual language arts class at the high school will be able to count as core and not an elective. And this is huge. This is huge because we were seeing a lot of attrition at high school. I don't know exact numbers, but I know that a big reason for that is because it was just electives. And there's so many fun classes at high school. They're like, I don't know if I want to reading in Spanish to take one of my electives. And it's hard. It's very hard, especially for non-native speakers. So it is going to count as core. That's going to really help incentivize our kids to stay in this program that we are so proud of, and I say it often, I brag about it. We're the only district in Kansas with a pre-K-12 dual language program. So we have to do what we can to keep the kids enrolled and graduated from the dual language program. So that was excellent news that Ms. Wallace shared with me today. And the bonus that it's looking as if students in high school dual language, that those courses will be weighted as well, because it is harder. So thank you. Thank you for all the work that you've done to make these improvements at the high school level. Last, I just want to know what and I meant to ask you this on the phone today, Ms. Wallace, and I forgot. We talked about so many other things. This program, we need to promote it. We need to get the word out. So I hope that our amazing communications team is putting together some type of promotional video so we can just broadcast it. And, people might be like, hey, I'm going to move to Topeka now, so my kids can be in the pre-K-12 dual language program, but they don't even, I keep running into people who don't even know we have it. So we really need to get the word out. Thank you.
Thank you. And as we continue to do that and get the word out, and we have publications and videos and all that, but Topekans are seeing that. And as you've mentioned, we really need to move beyond Topekans. So therefore, we are excited that we plan to put in a proposal for presenting at the next National School Board Conference, which is in San Diego. And so that next conference, the topic that we plan to propose presenting is really on dual language so that we can be out nationally. So it's almost like you already knew that, which you didn't know that. We hadn't talked about that. And so that is forthcoming. What we hope to do anytime we present, and I think the last time was a few years ago where we presented somewhere and brought students from Highland Park, but we would love to have some students as representatives. And then outside of that, for Superintendent's Council, this time, instead of adults really developing the marketing piece, our superintendent student advisory, they volunteered to help develop what that looks like, because now we have middle schoolers and high schoolers. And so our superintendent's council, those are high school students. So we'll have some high school students next year that are selected, they'll be freshmen, but that are selected to really create some marketing that really targets young people, while at the same time, we target the national audience, beyond Topeka. So we are really excited about what's coming up now that we're moving out of the pandemic. That's going to lead us into our equity report, but I'll stop there if there are any other questions about dual language. And there are a couple of updates that Mr. Gowan might want to mention in technology. We might not go to that section of the report, but I know that he's adding a couple of things new in technology that because that committee has met as well. It's not listed as the main item, but it is under strategic plan. That's the other update you'll see. Any other questions though first about dual language? Not seeing any. Mr. Gowan, do you want to mention your item or two related to technology broadly?
Sure. I'll talk specifically about the digital equity piece. In addition to the work that we did this year to try to make sure that our families could connect at home for learning during the remote learning during the pandemic, we've also been working pretty aggressively with the community because we believe this is a community issue. And so we're working with other partners throughout the community to try to bring not only connectivity into the household, but also bring the knowledge into the household on how that connectivity can change their lives. And so we're going to do things like talk about finance, which is not typically something a school district does, but it's something a community can do. And so we're going to have conversations about the things that families around them are doing that they're not able to do right now. And so that's part of the effort that we're doing with the community. And because it speaks to equity, we wanted to make sure it was also part of our strategic plan and that the district will take a leadership role in this process.
Thank you, Mr. Gowan. So that digital equity piece, Mr. Gowan currently is active on the state team. They just developed a fantastic podcast featuring the work that he is helping lead on the state level related to digital equity. And we look forward to bringing back the full strategic plan, which again, the main updates are the dual language piece. And then the year will just expand on out, but knowing that we'll have our regular meetings at least once a quarter with the strategic planning committee. Any questions about what we're doing with strategic plan moving forward?
Mr. Gowan, is this the initiative of broadband? I mean, is that what you're working with?
We grew out of that. So initially, there was the broadband initiative that was under the leadership of the Topeka Public Library. We grew out of that initiative during our work as a school district. I was asked to talk to the city council about what it is that we were doing for all of the families in the school. And in the process of that, the subject came up, okay, the school district is doing this. Why are we not, as a community, not doing something similar? And so Councilman Dobler connected with me and several other community leaders and several other organizations and said, okay, this is something we can all tackle together. And quite frankly, that's the beauty of it, because there are things that we can't do as a school district that they can do. And the teamwork that is blossoming out of this is great. We're pursuing a grant right now to hire an FTE at the city to be able to point people in the right direction, to get them connected to the FCC benefit that is now in place, and to get them connected with the device that the FCC can help support purchase. And then other community organizations are going to be involved in helping to build the education and helping to build those things that, again, they're going to make a big difference. And again, this is not just an issue for learning, although it's a very important issue for learning. It's an issue for the economy, because these families will now be able to participate in the economy in the same way that you and I do.
Bravo. I'm very, very pleased that that broadband initiative, which I saw as stopped, has now progressed to include the community. That's outstanding. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Mr. Gowan, could you send out a link to that podcast in case some of us want to listen?
I will be glad to send the board members a link to that podcast.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All
Any other
right.
questions? Okay, we're ready for equity.
So on the heels of digital equity, then we're moving right on into our equity council report. Every year at this time of the year, we always just give you an update on what the equity council talked about last year. What was our focus? Our focus was on curriculum. The first couple of slides, Dr. Nu's just going to remind you of the mission and vision, and then we'll jump on in and turn the rest over to Ms. Wallace, and she and I will just kind of tag team through the rest of this piece. Dr. Nu, I'll turn it over to you. She is my co-chair of the equity council.
Well, thank you, Dr. Anderson. So as you see, this is our mission and vision, and also just the definition of what our Equity Council represents for Topeka Public Schools. Our focus is on educational equity. We understand that there is a need to eradicate achievement gaps between the lowest and the highest performing students. We also recognize that there is racial predictability as to which student groups might occupy those spaces. So the mission of our Equity Council is to ensure that we are engaging all of our students in the highest quality of learning, because we know that it will take that foundation in order for them to become productive citizens and lifelong learners. And we also understand historically that racial equity is a critical component for our district and every district to make sure that every student has the opportunity to reach their highest level of achievement. As we met this year, we met through virtual means. Our meetings were Zoom meetings. And whereas in our typical in-person meetings, we may have had up around 30, 35 attendees, through the Zoom format, our numbers reached at some points close to 60 and maybe even close to 80 participants. We saw a lot of our community members asking to join the Equity Council. Many of our staff, whether certified or classified, wanted to participate in these meetings. And we must commend our building leaders. We had close to at least 80–85% participation from our building leaders. And so these were the topics that we covered throughout the year. Sometime we would revisit some of these topics. We also were able to have a superintendent from the Omaha, Nebraska area share with us about what they were doing within their district. Very similar to what we do in Topeka Public Schools, but I think in many ways we were a bit more advanced because we'd begun our work earlier. So that's just a quick overview of the activities of our Equity Council this past year.
This year, we did have a state representative, Ann Mall, that also joined our Equity Council as one of our community members, in addition to the parents and others that are in the community. As we go to this very next slide, Mrs. Wallace will talk a little bit about what teaching and learning looks like, and then she'll remind us in general about how we approach addressing race in general as a statement, which you have a copy of that statement at your desk as well, but it's also within this slide on the very next slide. Ms. Wallace?
Yes, Mr. Gallen, if you could go back one slide. Read it from here. Topeka Public Schools does not focus on one
No.
theory.
So I think you might be reading the statement initially, which I think, oh, Mr. Gowan might not have the statement in his space. It
Okay.
is updated in Google Drive, so I'm not sure if it's showing on your end. What's your,
This is the one.
okay, so Mrs. Wallace will go ahead and read it anyway, but the one that's in the Google Drive that has the most updated slide, it might not have shown up on this end, and that's quite all right. She'll go ahead and read it anyway.
Okay. Remove my mask. Topeka Public Schools does not focus on one theory, but rather we encourage students to examine research. Historical events, political and social systems, and determine ways they can positively impact systems as we create equitable opportunities for all, while keeping to our mission to engage, prepare, and inspire our students for a lifetime of learning. Our school district is a learning community committed to ensuring educational equity and excellence so that students of all races and backgrounds achieve at high levels and graduate prepared for success in college, careers, and a life in a diverse and rapidly changing world. Our curriculum and our Equity Council that has been in place for over a decade will continue to address various aspects of race and equity. Although we are not focusing the curriculum on one theory and is aligned with the Kansas Department of Education standards, which can be found at the KSDE website, the district provides culturally relevant teaching and diversity training for our staff so they may support, access, representation, meaningful participation, and high outcomes for all students. You may find more information about our curriculum and instruction at our online curriculum website.
That same statement is also on our Equity Council page as well. So if you're looking for a statement and asking, well, what theories do we subscribe to? You can just point to that statement either on the website, on our Equity Council page, or you have it handy. All right, Ms. Wallace is going to pick up from there and talk a little bit about the rest of the curriculum work for this last year.
So as we looked at our social studies curriculum to look at how culturally responsive we were being, there were a couple of areas in which we felt we needed to make some adjustments. Asian American Studies is a new course for Topeka Public Schools. You guys passed that course earlier this year. And then Native American Studies, Women's Studies, and Ethnic Studies have been courses on our or in our program of studies, but when offered have not made enough enrollment to make a class in several years. And so as we looked at that, and I worked with Ms. Nelson, our curriculum consulting teacher for social studies, one of the suggestions or recommendations was that we put our cultural studies courses on a rotation so that they are not competing against all other cultural courses every semester or every year. And so that rotation is up on the screen. And so next year, we will teach African American history, Asian American studies, and West African geography. And the following year, Hispanic studies, Native American studies, women's studies, and ethnic studies, providing students with more limited choice each year will allow enrollments to be high enough to actually make the class go. And then this year, we adopted new resources for world history in grade 6 and 9, African American history, and our US government and AP government. And one of the primary focuses when looking at those textbooks and selecting those and recommending them for adoption was, are they culturally diverse? And looking at ensuring that our world history textbook was not through the lens of a European, through a European lens, and really looked at all cultures and histories. And then we are continuing with our partnership with Midwest Equity to provide our training for our leaders and instructors. And then this semester, this is kind of exciting. We are partnering with the National Equity Lab. They provide college courses at reduced rates for our at-risk students or Title I high schools. There aren't a lot of Title I high schools across America. And so they offer these courses online, and they offer them from very prestigious universities. So this next year, we are able to offer computer science from Stanford University and American poetry from Arizona State University. And up to 40 kids at Topeka High and Highland Park will be able to take these courses for a reduced cost that we, out of federal dollars, can provide the opportunity for. And then, of course, our partnership with Washburn University and the Early College Academy and piloting students to attend there.
Now, Stanford University's classes are being filled at the college prep. We just learned that we were approved for that yesterday, so we were excited about that. Topeka High and Highland Park students do attend TCALC. So for up to 40 students at TCALC, attending TCALC and or are in the college prep will be taking a computer science class either from Stanford or from the college prep teacher who also is teaching computer science next year.
As Ms. Stewart Campbell mentioned, our dual language course offerings are expanding this year. Language arts in Spanish in grades 9, 10, and 11. We also have bilingual staff to teach biology, chemistry, personal finance, and AP Spanish. So really expanding our high school offerings there. And then as our curriculum and assessment teams meet this week and next week, they are working at the elementary level to integrate social studies content and language arts. So to teach language arts using social studies content. And so one of the, as we did a couple of years ago where we purchased library books that were added diverse books to their libraries, we will be adding more additional books that cover those social studies contents and are diverse of our cultures in Topeka Public Schools. And that includes library books as well as shared reading books and book rooms for guided reading.
That concludes our equity portion of the presentation. You may remember if you were on the Equity Council that the book selection was one of the big projects 2 years ago that the Equity Council asked for. Ms. Wallace's team brought the books to the Equity Council. They looked through those, had some participation in selection, and Ms. Nelson came and presented, as did our library media specialist, who is now a member of the Equity Council, which is just great, Ms. Leopold. So with that, we'll turn it over to the board if you have any questions. Our major focus this year has been on curriculum as it relates to the Equity Council.
Any questions? Dr. Morrison.
I only have a comment, and Dr. Anderson and I attended, it was a lecture, I think ICC.
Might be culturally relevant pedagogy, which we do here.
And this is what's resulted from this. This is outstanding and excellent, and I think has been needed in education for a long, long period of time. So thank you guys. This is really good.
That concludes our presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Or Ms. Stewart Campbell, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm really excited about these changes, and Asian Asian American history. Like my children will get to take that class, and it just looks really, really comprehensive. So, and quick question. I was curious why that geography class is just West Africa and not all of Africa, and it's 53 countries.
I would love to be able to give you a solid answer on that. That is a class that has been in our program of studies for 10 plus years. And I'm not really sure why just West African geography.
But I believe it's Miss Nelson on with us this evening. And maybe she's not. Our social studies, the person that leads the social studies department. Oh, she's not on this evening. I was going to say, because we can expound in that regard, but we have that noted, and then we'll continue to kind of look at that area. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Anderson. Next on the agenda are board member comments. We don't have any action items, right? So Dr. Bonebreak.
Since being new on the board, I've always wondered what we were supposed to talk about. Well, we usually thank people with a teacher of the month or somebody of the week or teacher of the year, but touring Allen Fieldhouse a few years ago, I saw James Naismith's quote, not exactly regarding games, but games are instinctive and intended to develop the individual for the business of life. The sports of early times develop brute strength and physical endurance, but neither of these is necessary for the college person after their graduation. But there are many factors that can be developed that would make them a better person and a better citizen. The attributes that are demanded in the life of the 20th and 21st century are initiative, activity, quick judgment, adaptability to conditions, self-control, perseverance, and concentration. These are the attributes demonstrated by being a teacher in 501, school administrator, and board members. Thank you very much.
Dr. Morrison.
To go along with our equity tonight, first of all, I'd like to give my congratulations to the softball team, women's softball team. My wife, just like Ms. Spoley, did not have an opportunity to play in high school. Even though she went to the principal and asked, can we have a tennis team? And she was refused. So thank you, Title IX. In Topeka, Kansas. Not in our district, but in Topeka, Kansas. The other thing I want to talk about and make everybody aware of, and you may or may not love the music that I like, but the Sunflower Music Festival starts Friday and goes for a week, and it will honor women in music. So equity, how many women composers do you know? I rest my case. So, and the first night, just as an example, performance of Fanfare for the Uncommon Woman by Joan Tower, written in 1987. Isn't that interesting?
Wasn't Mrs. Copeland?
Yeah, I don't know that. And in a week, there will be a panel, a women's panel with 2 Supreme Court justices and other women to talk about women's rights. There will a very interesting, and I don't know what the name of the music piece is, but our governor, Laura Kelly, will recite a poem during this piece. And and I think it's Saturday, but you can get online and find all this information. There's, not only is there my kind of music, which is symphonic, there's jazz. And they even have, there's either jazz performance featuring a vocalist. Then there's also premiere of Libby Larson's chamber orchestra composition, The Supreme Four. And that's where the Supreme Court comes in. So anyway, I just want to make everybody aware of it. It's free. You just go and you can get online, see what you'd like to see.
Is it Washburn?
At Washburn in the concert hall.
I just texted my wife today.
Yeah. So I think it's just outstanding that we talked about equity tonight, and here we have something that we can look at for women and know, because they were so, I mean, just like Ms. Bowley, I mean, they weren't allowed to do things. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Munoz.
It might seem from the outside that during the summer, when there are no classes for our kids, that things are kind of taking a seat back and that things are easy. But by firsthand observing our administration and observing us in meeting, that things actually get just as busy, if not busier, during school time. And so I just want to, for those who are looking at this, know that summer is not, we're not, individuals aren't just sort of taking a seat back. It's actually getting ready for next year. It's looking at budgets. It's all of the work that goes into that. And so I just want to acknowledge those who are working around the clock and have their schedules busy. I also want to say that I'm really happy to see the work that's being done by the Equity Council in terms of looking at our course offerings and our books, taking it, that's a lot of hard work and a lot of hard work that's the culmination of hours of those in administration, volunteer, our staff who puts that together, and seeing this is the result of a lot of time and effort. And so I appreciate that, and want to make sure our teachers know that we support them in being able to meet our students wherever they are and the way that they think is best. I mean, they really are the ones who we rely on to be able to make sure that our courses are offered, our students are met where they need to be, however they see fit. And so we appreciate all they do in taking these courses and then delivering them to our students. So thank you for that. And lastly, I do want to make sure if families still haven't been aware that there are a lot of offerings locally in terms of educational opportunities. So if you don't know about USD 501 and the courses that are offering, but as well as we saw just earlier, this young Miss Haley who is part of the summer track, there are educational opportunities and there are sports and all sorts of matter of, and so do what you can to keep your kids involved in one way or another, keep them engaged and keep them curious about learning. Learning is not just something that happens in our school, it happens year round. And sometimes parents, it's hard to know exactly what's out there. And so please feel free to, if you have any questions, let me know. I regularly come across lots of different opportunities. My kids can't always take advantage of it, but if that helps parents out there who are looking to figure out what's available, what's free, what's low cost, please feel free to let me know and I'll do what I can. That is all.
Ms. Bully?
Isn't it exciting that we're able to look beyond the pandemic? The work in the Equity Council is just so exciting. I can remember our guided reading libraries. It was so hard to find diverse books to teach for social studies and understanding other cultures, and to see that we're actually focusing on books that we can bring in and help educate a world students who need to understand the world, because that's where we are now. It's not just our neighborhood. This is so exciting, and I'm just so thankful for your leadership team and moving forward with this. It's so wonderful to see other things happening besides our pandemic. I also wanted to thank Mrs. Johnson Betts for sending me a really wonderful thank you card for supporting the golf tournament and the excitement around the golf tournament. And it was just so nice of having somebody here reach out to me and thank me. I just wanted to thank her for that. And our superintendent informed us that our board clerk, Ms. Lister, has done some extraordinary things for our district and recuperating funds that just help all of our students in our district. And so thank you for doing that. It's above and beyond, and maybe not for you, but how exciting it is that we are able to have that reward of your hard work. Thank you. Yes. Also, somewhere along the line, I think I missed a superintendent's birthday. I'm not sure when it was, but I saw a lot of balloons and flowers. And so
today's a birthday, but Miss Lister's is next weekend. That's the birthday that really matters.
Well, I think birthdays are special days. So I'm sorry I missed yours, but I want to wish you the best year forward. And I'm so excited to see how our district's going to grow in the next few years as a board member, that we're able to start moving forward. We've always been a leader, and it's so much fun to see us starting to step forward again outside this box that we've been locked in. So thank you for your team and your efforts. And I'm lucky to be a board member at Topeka Public Schools.
Thank you, Ms. Boley. Mr. Campbell.
Well, in the year and a half that I've served on this board, I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say for my board member comments, because I already had the opportunity to say them when we were talking about dual language and equity. So I guess I am talking still, aren't I? Anyway, that concludes my comments.
Reverend.
I have nothing to say as well, because I don't like sounding redundant. I'll just say I'll piggyback or echo the comments that were previously made. And also happy belated birthday to Dr. Anderson. I mentioned to her earlier, my younger sister shares a birthday, and I told her that's why I like her, because I think very highly of my baby sister. So with that, I will, it's been a great year as we come to the final few days of this fiscal year. We can hold our head up high, because Topeka Public Schools shined.
If you want to get your calendars, it's June 10th and June 27th are the two dates to put down on your calendar for birthdays.
And Dr. Mickelson wished me a happy birthday on behalf of all of you all. So I thought you all knew, because see now you let the cat out the bag. He did send something on behalf of all of you all. He sent a little message to me first thing in the morning. So thank all of you all.
June 10th and then June 27th is another special day here coming up. Just a couple updates. Remember, we have a board meeting next Thursday at noon. It'll be electronic. And I just want to make sure we have a quorum who plan to attend. So we've got a quorum, it looks like. So I've been promised it will be brief, just to take care of end of fiscal year paperwork. It'll be Zoom at noon, and Mr. Gowan will send out a link to join. Also, with the governor's pandemic-related emergency order, I think has expired, and some of that had some Kansas Open Meetings Act language in it, and so it allowed for open meetings like ours to be taken care of virtually. I think that our plan is to continue to do the virtual meetings, but then open up the meetings. And so at the last meeting, I asked if anyone had any concerns or comments about that. Nobody approached me. So I think we're moving in that direction. We'll continue to move in that direction where, and I want to make sure the public's aware that the doors will be open and will still be precautions in place, but want to get back to where we were sooner than later, I think. And finally, it was just, I'm glad we were able to honor the Topeka High School softball team. I watched on, must have been Twitter or something, I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw them after they won. They were so excited. A little video of them. They stood on the third base line and sang the school song and arm in arm. And it was just I had goosebumps. And I texted the principal and I said, these girls deserve it. And she said, they certainly do after, not being able to play last year with a team that could have contended for a championship, the basketball season last year during COVID, and then this year, again, wonderful girls that, and she commented how they're excellent athletes, but even better people. So they represented our district well, and just want to continue to congratulate them. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much.